The NFL's decision on Jalen Carter is getting ridiculous, as new revelations show internal flip-flopping from the very top. Plus why Howie Roseman's latest move could signal big changes in the secondary, and how Za'Darius Smith fits in Vic Fangio's pass rush scheme. Finally, a key chief is already out for Sunday, and the real reason A.J. Brown only had one target. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. It's been just 4 days since the Birds' dramatic Week 1 win versus the Cowboys, and yet it feels like a lifetime of news has dropped since then. Between Howie adding a very under-the-radar edge rusher to the film breakdown on A.J. Brown, and importantly the Birds' secondary, the Chiefs losing their best weapon, and the Birds' reported trade offer for Micah Parsons. A lot is going on. But first, I'm giving you a second chance to enter my Jordan Spector art Saquon Barkley piece giveaway. This one is called the House Call. I absolutely love this thing. So be a subscriber, drop a like, and leave a comment down below to make sure you are entered. I'll announce the winner of this bad boy later on this week. Oh, and check out Jordan's website, link below for all of his great Eagle pieces if you want to just buy them, because I think he's still running a 25% off discount for the first 25 people to use code BIRDS25 at checkout. No idea if this is still actually active. I got an email saying it was, so check it out down below. I'll link it. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but for the Jalen Carter update, there is officially, as of filming, no Jalen Carter update today, as the NFL has not levied any judgment on whether or not to suspend the Birds' star defensive player. And I've been waiting all day for the judgment to come down, as we'll see. However, if for whatever reason I upload this video and then 1 hour later the judgment is there, I will update you on what the verdict is down below in the comment section. Still, the fact it's taken over 4 days for judgment is ridiculous, especially since the USA Today had a report over the weekend which said, quote, a league official told USA Today Sports' Jared Bell that a suspension for Jalen Carter isn't on the table. The official was granted anonymity because the NFL is still examining the situation. But then Adam Schefter today said the league could very well suspend Jalen Carter due to its heightened emphasis on unsportsmanlike penalties and the image the league wants to portray. And again, I'm sorry, I've waited all day long for this video, but it does seem like they're waiting till Tuesday, which is a whole different story and probably not a good sign. Still, making the Birds wait this long only hurts their prep for the Chiefs next week, because as of right now, Vic Fangio has no idea if his best defensive player is going to be on the field or not. Honestly, kind of adding a little bit of extra fuel to the fire that the NFL secretly wants to make sure the Chiefs don't start 0-2. I mean, come on, the league wasted no time banning the fan who shoved Lamar Jackson from every single Bills game for life, and that was like 15 hours ago. Either way, there's also the question of whether or not Philadelphia themselves will do any sort of discipline internally with Jalen Carter, which Nick Sirianni said during his press conference today will be a private, internal, in-house thing.
No, I mean, I'm going to keep everything that I do with him private. Regardless of if you see it on Sunday or not, every conversation, whether it's a personal conversation, a disciplinary thing, all those things will always be handled privately. I just think that's the way to go about doing team business, and when you're doing things with a football team.
Losing Jalen Carter would obviously be a tough blow next week, but mainly due to the fact that the pressure internally he would help create is Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite. It's really the whole reason Philadelphia dominated the Chiefs in the Super Bowl was because Patrick Mahomes was unable to run around and improvise or make a bunch of big plays. They obviously can still beat KC without JC, but losing him, as you know, is not ideal. And there's really no way to understand why 2 games is the answer, because recent NFL history, the suspensions have all been 6+ games for serious violations. So how does Roger Goodell get from 1 game to 2 game up to 6? Like, Rashee Rice got 6 games for his multi-vehicle chain reaction collision where he pleaded guilty to 2 third-degree felony charges involving serious bodily injury. Are we saying that spitting on Dak Prescott is 1/3 as bad as what Rice did? My heart says the NFL is not going to suspend him because he already served a 1-game suspension from the Dallas Cowboy game. He didn't play a single snap. But my head says the fact it's taking this long means they're probably going to suspend him 1 game. I don't know. I'm like 50-50 up and down. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. The second something happens, I'll update the pinned comment as well, and we'll go live tomorrow on Tuesday if we get a verdict, which I think we should. It's just crazy it's taking this long. Sorry if I miss it, but I've waited so long and there's no verdict. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, David. These protein bars have become my go-to source of protein, whether I'm traveling, heading to the gym, or really just need a snack in between meals. I'll stop you right there. I know what you're thinking right now. Thomas, how do these things actually taste? Because the majority of protein bars actually in the market, they taste kind of like cardboard. They're not really that good, even though they claim to be the best. Trust me, the flavor here is fantastic. Soft, doughy, a little bit of a crunchy crisp as well. My favorite flavor, at least recently, has been the salted peanut butter. That's this one right here. But they have a ton of different flavors to check out on their website, and every one I've tried so far has been fantastic. On top of great flavor, the next big thing here is the amount of protein and calories in these bars. Each David bar has 28 grams of protein and only 150 calories, which is nuts. That's a 75% protein to calorie ratio, 50% higher than any other bar in the market. Plus, they're keto-friendly, gluten-free, and blood sugar-friendly, meaning no crashes and no junk ingredients. So if you want to boost your protein without adding all those unnecessary calories, then click the link down below in my description box or scan the QR code over here, and you'll get a free carton with a purchase of 4 or more. And by the way, if they're out of stock online, don't worry, just use David's store locator and find a retailer near you and grab them in person. I love David bars, and I think if you try one, you will too. Now, of course, Jalen Carter aside, the Chiefs will for sure be missing their top receiving threat on Sunday as wide receiver Xavier Worthy suffered some friendly fire from Taylor Swift's fiancé in their opener, resulting in a dislocated shoulder. At this time, the Chiefs have not officially released an injury timeline, but experts like Jesse Morris revealed on Twitter Worthy will miss a minimum of 3 games, meaning for sure he's out for Sunday's duel in Arrowhead. And while of course you never wish for anybody to get injured, even a Chiefs wide receiver, Philadelphia's secondary play, as we'll see this past week, is going to greatly benefit from Worthy not being on the field, and with the Chiefs maybe going 0-2, backs against the wall, Super Bowl rematch, this is going to help Philadelphia in a massive way. Especially once you put on the Adoree Jackson tape from Thursday night, because it is really, really rough. 7 targets, 5 catches, 103 yards, and 5 first downs allowed for a jaw-dropping PFF grade of 33.6. And these 2 plays really are the perfect example of Adoree's night. As on this one, he gets completely spun around by CeeDee Lamb for obviously a massive gain. And then this one here, DeJean, Coop, Blank, they're all in great coverage, but it doesn't matter because Adoree is trailing CeeDee Lamb by at least 5 yards.
I thought he had moments where he had good challenges, and obviously he gave up a couple plays also. And it's never, it's never, hey, this happened because of this. Never in this game, never in this sport. But again, like everybody in that football game, you had some positives, you had some negatives. That's every player in that game. That's every coach in that game. That's that game itself.
Philadelphia's defense has an Adoree Jackson problem. The question is right now, do they give him a couple of weeks? Maybe he figures it out next week versus the Chiefs, or does Howie work very quickly to plug the Adoree Jackson hole? And well, it seems like the latter might be the case. Philadelphia released guard Kenyon Green on Sunday to free up a roster spot, and then spent Monday working out veteran cornerback Mike Hilton. Hilton is interesting for a few reasons. A, he has 13 career interceptions and was a staple on the Bengals secondary the past 4 years, but more importantly, B, he's played over 4,000 snaps at the nickel cornerback slot and just 139 on the outside. Which, read between the lines here, if the Philadelphia Eagles sign Hilton, or by now have signed Hilton, you're watching this later on in the day, that means Cooper DeJean is probably getting moved to the outside. And honestly, this makes sense. DeJean allowed 0 receiving yards on 3 targets versus the Cowboys last week, and is clearly Philadelphia's first or second best cornerback all training camp long. I think they love the idea of him staying in the slot, but would rather at this point try Hilton or say Mac McWilliams there if it means DeJean shuts down the other cornerback job. Still, when I mentioned Mike Hilton, the first question you should have asked if you watch my show, you know this is, Thomas, why is Mike Hilton a free agent 2 weeks into the NFL season? And well, that's a fair question. Hilton signed with the Dolphins back in July, but was released on the final roster cut days a few weeks ago, and appears in part due to the fact that the Finns love a 5th-round rookie they drafted in April. Still, I'm cautiously optimistic here about Mike Hilton not only signing, but being pretty good. I love the veteran resume and the idea of DeJean being on the outside, but I gotta see Mike Hilton play well before I think Howie has done anything sort of magical. Plus, Jaquan Bennett, remember him? He still exists. That was Howie's first attempt to solve the cornerback 2 problem. So Mike Hilton signed or Mike Hilton not signed, they still have an option out there if they want to bench Adoree Jackson and then insert Jaquan Bennett. Time will tell. I don't know what they're going to do right now, but there's at least options for the one big problem in Philadelphia heading into week 2. Still, though, Philadelphia wants to actually sign Hilton. They need to create a brand new roster spot because this afternoon, they went ahead and signed Patrick Johnson to the active roster. He's now the 53rd spot. They also signed Montrell Johnson and Holland Pierce back to the practice squad and released wide receiver Elijah Cooks. As always, Howie keeps working, and maybe Hilton comes later this week. Now, staying with Howie for a second, and by now you've seen his latest move that was an actual signing of edge rusher Za'Darius Smith over the weekend, likely at the expense of a healthy week 1 scratch Azeez Ojulari or Agbo Okoronkwo. And let me first just say that Howie has clearly been hunting for edge rusher help all offseason long, especially after Fox Sports' Jay Glazer reported yesterday morning the Eagles made the strongest offer to the Cowboys for Micah Parsons, including 2 first-round draft picks, a 3rd, a 5th, and a possible player, which is a nuts report. Like, we've heard the rumors that Philadelphia was sniffing around edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons. Then last week they made an offer, but now we know it was more than the Green Bay Packers. And I guess if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you learned that Saquon Barkley, the best player for the Giants, going on the Eagles was a big mistake, and so you couldn't take Howie's offer, even though it was clearly way better than Green Bay's. Of course, Micah Parsons went to Green Bay, so it doesn't really matter. Still interesting to know, though, in the end, But, Parsons aside, Za'Darius Smith, in my opinion at least, is a legit proven edge, and as early as last season where he logged 9 sacks between his stint in Cleveland and Detroit. He also had the 14th most high-quality sacks per pass rush rate of any edge in 2024. Oh, and the initially reported $9 million deal for Smith is actually a $4.5 million deal with another $4.5 based on incentives. So he's only going to get paid if he actually performs.
Excited about Za'Darius and what he can add, and from watching his tape, the last 5 years really, as I see him, or even more than that, and then what he did last year, and so looking forward to that. I think he adds to a very deep room where we have a lot of confidence, in all those guys now.
And overall, I think there's definitely a place for him in Vic Fangio's defense, despite a very strong week 1, especially from Josh Uche, who was absolutely fantastic. Saw some vintage 2022 Patriots edge rusher snaps here, but also Jalen Hunt, who didn't register any sort of crazy stats on the edge, but man, he was oh so close all night long. Za'Darius Smith could be a serious weapon for Philadelphia if he gives you 9 sacks this season like he did in 2024. At worst, though, he's a rotational edge guy, better than Ojulari, better than Ogbo, and he's also the oldest edge in the Eagles' entire depth chart room. Like right now, the old guy is Josh Uche, who is 26 years old, not exactly a savvy veteran, whereas 32, Za'Darius Smith, he's seen a lot and can be a very, very calming and smart voice for the rest of the young edge rushers trying to break out in 2025. Now, speaking of players I was also very impressed by, how about Jahan Dotson's team-leading receiving night versus the Dallas?
Take a look at a couple plays from Jahan Dotson last night. Opening drive of the game, they're going to throw this little swing route to Will Shipley. But watch Jahan Dotson's blocking right here. He takes Kenneth Murray, pow, right off his feet. Spins him into the middle of next week, and then he goes after Malik Hooker, and Shipley takes the ball down to the 5-yard line. And then the biggest play of the day for the Eagles offense. All right, Devontae Smith in the slot. Jahan Dotson outside. Good protection. On 3rd and 6 with 1:53 to go, Dotson runs the post against Kaiir Elam, and right there, Jalen Hurts put it right on him. Perfect throw. Now, that perfect throw was perfect protection. Lane on the outside against Dante Fowler. Jordan Mailata on the outside here against Sam Williams. Inside, firm. And right here, Jalen let it fly for 50 yards. The throw is just drop dead perfect. This sets up the Eagles score right before the half right there. Excellent throw, catch, 51 yards, biggest play of the day.
Sadly, however, everybody was very quick to jump on the Jalen Hurts and, more specifically, A.J. Brown hate train following Brown's one-catch opening night. And yet those same detractors were very quiet on Sunday afternoon when Jamar Chase had 2 catches, Nico Collins had 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 4, Brian Thomas had 1, and T. Higgins had 3. Wait. You're telling me the national media is showing another bias against A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles versus the rest of the poor receiver play on Sunday? Who would have thought that would happen? And if you want an example of this bias, just watch the national media's reaction this morning to Joe Burrow's passing chart from Sunday in a win. Go ahead and look it up. I'll wait.
I'm ecstatic if I'm Cincinnati.
Get the hell out of here.
When it comes to A.J. Brown, I'm not going to pretend like one target in a game is defendable. It's not. Ken Batulo and Jalen Hurts must get the football to number 11 a lot more. But in Batulo's defense, do we forget that Philadelphia last season did not score a single first-quarter touchdown until Week 9? Philadelphia on Thursday night had 3 straight touchdown drives to open the game. Plus, when it comes to A.J. Brown's night, whether he's injured or not, I thought Sean Side's breakdown on Twitter was absolutely fantastic, showcasing that Jalen Hurts was looking his way early on, but the plays weren't there, and Hurts smartly went the other way.
If we see how much Brown still has all of that left to go on the concept. So I don't think we need to be mad at Jalen Hurts on this specific example for now getting to your second read comfortably. This is a 3rd and 3 situation. That's a first down. That's a conversion. So let's see, where do Hurts' eyes go after the snap? He is clearly looking at the bottom of the screen here. I don't think there's anything telling you that, oh, you have to be looking at the top of the screen here. And also just look at A.J. Brown to something else. Confidently and comfortably with Hurts, where he is making plays, I think making the right plays. Still positive situations. Okay, fine, we're early in the game.
Of course, A.J. Brown was open on some plays. There's a lot of advanced analytics out there saying he had 12 open routes where Jalen Hurts should have thrown him the football. But if Philadelphia is true about contribution over credit, then A.J. Brown getting 1 catch and the Birds winning really shouldn't matter. Plus, it's just one game. What What happens if this coming week versus the Chiefs, he goes off for 100 plus yards? Because that could very easily be the case because A, the Chiefs secondary looked absolutely horrible on Friday night versus the Chargers, who have a very mediocre receiving core, and B, anytime A.J. Brown had a quiet game last season, for example, the 2-catch performance versus the Jaguars, he followed it up with a 100 plus yard game, in this case versus Dallas. Or how about the 4-catch performance versus the Panthers, the following week against the Steelers, a 110-yard masterclass. Out of all the concerns Eagle fans have for A.J. Brown getting 1 target on Thursday night, it's like number 7 on my list. I have way bigger concerns that really aren't actually massive concerns, but like Adoree Jackson, the cornerback spot, that's a real storyline to be concerned about. A.J. Brown having 1 bad game, he's going to be just fine. I'm predicting a massive game on Sunday versus the Chiefs.
There's so many things that dictate a play and where the ball goes. You know, that could be coverage, that could be progression, that could be, you know, protection, that could be, there's so many different things that dictate that. There's no secret about it. We always want to get the ball to, you know, 6 and 11, and we're always trying to. And so, you know, we'll do an even better job as coaches trying to make sure that happens.
Also, by the way, I don't know if you watched the rest of week 1, especially on Sunday, but the NFC East as a whole looked a lot weaker than expected. Like, sure, Packers aside, Detroit looked terrible. The Commanders only dropped 21 points. Seattle and San Francisco, that was an average fest. And the Rams, they only scored 14. In my view, Philadelphia remains the very clear NFC favorite coming out of week 1. But week 1 as a whole, I said this on Friday's recap video, it's so hard to take away really anything, right? Because, I mean, week 1, people haven't played for months. They didn't play during training camp. There's been injuries going on. It takes a little bit to spin up and figure things out. Don't forget that last season, the Birds struggled on both sides of the football at times the first 5 weeks of the season and then got on a roll and figured things out. So I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to overreact. And I'm still going to be pretty happy that my Philadelphia Eagles and your Philadelphia Eagles are 1-0 instead of the opposite, which could be 0-1. Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks as we get ready for the Chiefs Super Bowl rematch. A lot of hype around that one. Of course, you want to enter the Jordan Spector Art giveaway. Drop a comment, be subscribed, and like this video. Winner announced later on this week. Watch out for scammers. I only announce the winners on my show. I'm also in talks with Jordan to get an exclusive Thomas Mott Show discount code for all of his art gear. So stay tuned for that. And Thomas Mott hanging out here on a Monday. There's a lot going on. Welcome to the season. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.